All right, so yeah, welcome everyone. HubSpot Pro Connect. So this is basically our first sort of session. This is something that we're trying to sort of enhance the HubSpot experience for everyone. The idea is that, we'll do maybe a monthly session. We might do it more depending on, the interest and things like that. But the idea is spend the first maybe 20 minutes doing a presentation on something to do with HubSpot. And then from there, we'll open to questions. So the idea being that, you can come along to this, and basically you can learn, you can ask questions, and you can interact with each other as well. So I suppose as we go through, put a little presentation to try and keep me in order. Fair to know, trust the process. Our process is pretty streamlined. Those who've worked with us before would have seen this document. But the idea is systemize, automate, delegate. We systemize through understanding process. We automate by taking that process and putting it into a platform. And then we delegate by teaching people how to use it. A little bit about me. I won't bore everyone. I think I know most people here that have jumped in. My main role in the business is I'm head of CRM, and I've worked with CRMs for about 10 years. So what is HubSpot Pro Connect? It's a place to connect, a place to ask questions, a place to learn. And what is covered? We cover all things HubSpot. So from sales to marketing to service reporting. We look at tech and integrations, both native integrations within HubSpot, third-party integrations, and custom-built integrations. We'll talk about websites and CMS, and then we'll also talk about the ever-growing phenomenon that is AI. So one of the other things that we just wanted to touch on is just within, as part of this, we've also started a Slack community that we'll put in the chat. The Slack community is designed so that you can jump in and ask questions of us at any time. And basically, you'll have access to a team if you're unsure of anything. So if you want to jump in that, we call it the collective. There's a specific HubSpot group that you can use within that. And basically, like I said, you'll be able to jump in and manage that as you wish. So what are we going to talk about today? So today I thought I'd just start off pretty straightforward and just talk about controlling your pipeline in HubSpot. So, the way we manage our pipeline is one of the most important things within the CRM and within HubSpot. I really look at the CRM side and the pipeline side as the way that we manage, the way and the foundation of how we use a CRM. So if we can get that right and we can manage it effectively, then everything else in the business can flow. And what I mean by that is we can look at segmentation, we can look at reporting, we can look at a range of different things. So what I'm going to do is I've got a presentation, but I'm not actually going to be presenting off this. I'm going to jump in and from here, I'm going to go into and look into the actual platform and get in a position where we can move around and show you some examples. The first thing when we talk about pipeline optimization is number one is process. I'm pretty sure most people here have gone through some type of process workshop with us in different elements. But what I'd ask is, when was the last time that you've reviewed that process and you've gone back and you've actually, even looked at your workflow and you've adjusted it to what you're doing now? So I know Rebecca, she's pretty good at that. She's looking at a process pretty regularly, but what's everyone else, doing in the group? Are you generally looking at process, or is it something that, you look at when you can? Maybe for people to yell out.
I'm finding it too hard to change things,
Yeah.
automate things, and everything's so complicated.
Yeah.
I'm not loving it.
Yeah. Trudy's obviously not a spokesperson for HubSpot, so that's fine. And that's fine, Trudy. I think it is designed to be easy, but at the same time, it is also tech, and it still can be a little bit confusing to manage. So I definitely acknowledge that, and hopefully I can show you some tips of how to use things. And if you join that collective, you're welcome to ask questions when you want to do things. And there's a lot of things that HubSpot has with support as well. Does anyone else look at changing their process or?
Yeah, I'm always looking at ways to make everything a bit more streamlined so that it's automated, and working with my VA to just make sure all the funnels are working correctly and I suppose the only frustration I have is just being able to see the bigger picture of what's happening. So tracking, there's so much data to track in there, which is amazing. Just how to actually bring it all together, and I suppose, yeah, really just having a bigger picture of when you go into HubSpot in the morning to track what's been sent out, all of that sort of thing, instead of having to go into every separate section. Like I have about 10 windows open to try and have a look at all the different sections, but I suppose that's just how the software is. But I guess I'm wondering if there's an easier way to be able to have a snapshot of what's actually happening in there, so that I can track what VAs doing as well.
We might leave that for some questions at the end that we can go into and look at some real-time examples for that, and go from there. So I think what we're going to talk about now is just some more generic sort of stuff, and then we can go into specifics around exactly what we want to look at. Okay, so I suppose, like I said, the key to any CRM is understanding the process. But what we want to do from that is we want to be able to, once you have the process, we want to be able to control the pipeline. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to share this screen and just move through and just talk about a few sort of things within the CRM that you can manage. So at a start point, in terms of adjusting your own pipeline, it can be done very easily. And it can be done very easily by clicking board actions and going edit cards. Oh, sorry, not edit cards, edit stages. And then takes us to a pipeline area where we can then manage a range of different things. So we can add pipelines, we can add different stages, we can add pipelines, and we can manage everything from one location. Now, when we are looking at that though, what we want to understand is we want to understand ways that we can control the process. Because when we talk about business, and we talk about CRM management, this here is the process that staff need to follow. And there's some ways that we can control it so that it becomes almost foolproof for them. So some of the things we've got in tools within HubSpot are something like required fields. So a required field is when we move a deal into a certain stage, it pops up and then it asks for certain information. Now, the reason why this is good is because what it allows you to do is it means that if you don't put the information in, it foolproofs the process because you can't move things forward. Now, most people would probably know about that. Within that, you've also got the ability to then use conditional property logic. So it's not just about that one field. As an example, if I were to go and put in a certain field in the referral source, which is going to be partner, it pops up and then asks another question. So if I put in a different field, it doesn't pop that up. Now, the reason it does that is, again, it allows us to maintain control of the CRM and how we're grabbing data. So this is something that's really important as we do move things through, because again, as we have our process and we start at that top level, if we understand what needs to occur, we can then make sure we're getting all the right bits. Is this something people use at the moment, having required fields in their pipeline stage so that you can control data points? I know Trudy, we have that that was set up. I know Rebecca, you got that set up. Is that something other people are using?
I know that I only use it in one section, and it'd be nice to actually put that into other pipelines, but I haven't been able to work out how to do it.
Yeah.
So it pops up like that.
Yeah, well, to do it, just simply in the pipeline, board actions, edit stages. When you go edit stage, then all you need to do is then edit properties, conditional stage properties, and then add them in. And then you just add in whichever properties that you want to have in. And then once you save it, when you move it into that pipeline, so if you do want to go into a different pipeline, you just come up here and change pipelines and move to a different pipeline. Again, just quite simply, edit stages and move from there. Fairly straightforward. Now, some of the other things that you can do with that, if you did want to set up that conditional logic. Now, again, when you are in this, when you're in the settings for the pipeline, what you need to do is go down to, instead of being in the deals section, you go down to the property section. So currently we're in the objects deals. We go into property, and we go to the select the object, and we go to conditional property logic. And then from there, in the conditional property logic, we can select what field we want to use. So we were using referral source before, and that allows us to pick the dependent's name. So anytime it comes up referral partner, it asks referral name. So then basically you can make it dependent property anywhere in the platform that's going to ask that question, and it's going to make sure you get that data. Now, does that all sort of make sense? So what we sort of set up there is those bits of data points will not only allow you to manage the way you look at fields, but it'll also allow you to make sure that you're getting the right data points for marketing segmentation and reporting. It's sort of foolproofing the way you do business. And it means that staff, as they move things along, they can't miss things because they can't. It's impossible. You can actually also then, as well, if you want to take it to another level of control within the system, when you go to the edit stages side again, we've got a range of other areas that we can control. So this sort of edit stage is something that you guys should definitely know. And if you don't, go there, check it out. So what you can also do is, where it comes down here, we've got pipeline rules. And pipeline rules allow us to control where deals are created. So we only want to have deals created in a specific stage, restrict deals from skipping stages. Sorry, I didn't show them. So when we're back in this tab here, if we go to pipeline rules, this is where we can control a range of different things to do with the pipeline. So we've got restrict deals from skipping stages. So if you don't want deals to be able to jump and you want to look at conversions, you can have that. If you want to limit where deals are created, so they're only created in one stage, you can set that up. You can control edit access, and you can restrict deals from even moving backwards. So again, setting it up so that deals can't skip stages, and then having required fields and dependent logic properties means that as things move forward, you've completely foolproof the process. And obviously the staff have to move things forward and the team have to move things forward because you want to progress the way deals are moving. Does that all make sense? Is that something that people would use or people are aware of? Yeah. Now, the other one, when we go back into managing the pipeline and the type of things that we can do, from a very top level of understanding deal cards and understanding how things operate here. Number one, looking at a deal card, we can customize what appears on this deal card. So you see here it says deal owner. Deal owner, then over here it says product close date. What you can actually do is you can make visible 4 properties in this location here. And that's very handy, obviously, so you can see things at a glance. Now, again, to do that, same sort of area, we just go into the same field we've been looking at all day, edit stages. Edit stage, and then we just customize board and card view. And now this is done via pipeline. So you can have different fields based off different pipelines. And it's really handy to be able to see things at a glance. So I definitely would recommend managing that and having that set up accurately across all your pipelines. Now, the other thing that you can do, throughout your pipeline is, and this is a newish feature of HubSpot, is that throughout the pipeline, in the past, you could have a range of different properties on this left-hand side in different groups. And it can be quite confusing when you've got different product lines and different elements of the business. Now, what we've got now is you can control what these properties appear on this left-hand side based off the pipeline that they're in. So if I were to move this into a different pipeline, if I were to move that into a pipeline that doesn't have a bunch of required fields that are going to take me too long to figure out or to fill out, I'll move it into somewhere else.
Matt, we're not seeing your screen, but we're still on. Yeah.
So I've just moved this one from this deal from prospecting, and you can see here we've got CRM. And if I refresh this screen, you can now see there's different sources here or different groups. Now, I can control what these groups are viewed and appear, in the CRM. So we have accurate data displayed for the right type of deal. Now, why that can be important is, if we've got different products, if we've got different aspects or different operational lines in the business, we don't necessarily want to see a range of groups that aren't relevant to that deal. So what we can do is we can control what we see. As you see, I'll move it back to the right pipeline. And then from there, where it's moved back, it's gone back, it's reverted back to the original. It's about this deal in CRM. So again, you can control that. So the way that you can manage what's visible within a pipeline is the same way that you add properties to this left-hand view. So again, the main tab that we've been looking at today is that edit stages. So we go edit stage. And then we want to go to record customization. Now, these records are based off the properties that are in HubSpot. And let me know if this all makes sense for people, but we go to default view. And what we've got here is these cards are the groups that are on that left-hand side. So, previously we were looking at CRM. If I edit that, it brings up all the properties that are visible in that CRM. And then using the conditional logic, we've got what pipelines they appear in. So all these different groups are reflective back off what is in the left-hand side of the deal. And then we can control how they appear. Does that make sense to everyone? Is that straightforward enough? Sort of. Cool. And again, what we're starting to control within the CRM is we're controlling, the process. So that number one, people are, inputting data when we want them to input data. We're controlling the ability to, manage what we see and what the staff see, so they're not being confused with fields they don't need to fill out, and really controlling the whole process. So let me know if there's any questions with that. I do know, there's a couple of things that we're jumping around, but the key to today is the main field that we're going to every single time is this edit stage button. So again, when we click edit stage, we've got the option to edit pipelines. We've got the option to edit conditional properties. We've got the option to go to pipeline rules, where we can control the movement. We've got the option to come and customize the board and the card view, so we can add additional properties. And the other one that we've got the option to do is also customize deal tags. So back in this other view, you might notice that we've got things tagged here, Outsource Accelerator, Entourage, might be some HubSpot there as well. That basically allows us to add tags to our card view. And why we do this is, again, so things are more visible, so we know what we want, what needs to be actioned. Now, we can do things where we can set it up where those tags could be based off anything. Could be based off a lead being warmer. Could be based off a lead that's gone cold, hasn't had activity in a while. But again, to do that, in the edit section, we basically can see we've got all our tags used at the moment. But when you do add your tags, it's based off a field property. So on that left-hand view, it's based off what's visible there. Now, the last thing I'll just show for managing the pipeline is just a really simple one and fairly straightforward. But on each deal, we've got the last activity and then we've got the next activity. One way to control from a management point of view is to make sure that we're seeing things in here. And if there's not, we want to see tasks. So you can quickly see at a glance. You might notice that there's a different color between the blue and the white cards or deals. Now that's controlled from a different section where we go edit cards and we can set cards as inactive. So we have it set cards inactive after 7 days. But if we want to have that 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever, it allows you to be able to have that visibility on what's going on. What you can actually do with that activity, it's set off the last activity date. You can actually then create workflows. So to notify people, notify staff when a card's gone, inactive after 14 days. Some people might use that to, after 30 days or 40 days, send a deal to close lost and be like, all right, let's automatically get it out of the pipeline. Let's move it away. Because one of the key things about pipeline management is not having too many deals clogging up the pipeline. Does that make sense or does anyone have any questions just about, those sort of like key features to pipeline management? But yeah, any questions? Pretty straightforward. All right, so I just wanted to finish off with just a couple of other tips and tricks around managing HubSpot within the system before we open up for some questions. So number one, as a really good tip or trick for everyone, if you're not using the core functionality within HubSpot, that's fine. But I suppose what most people would be using is some type of video recording platform, Zoom or Google Meets or whatever it is. So HubSpot has direct integrations with all those recording platforms. And so if you go into the app marketplace, which we'll go into after, you can add them in very easily. So then any time that you do a meeting, it's going to log it straight against HubSpot. So Pete has a range of meetings he's done here. And what it'll do is for the video recording, it records it. So these are live meetings that Pete has conducted. So just a really easy tip, again, these will save these against the records. So if you haven't already integrated your video recording, if you are doing it, that's something I definitely would recommend. And to do that, and as you can see, it takes snippets of the entire conversation. There is actions coming around at the moment where they're looking to add in additional AI features around note summaries, things like that. So it's going to get more advanced. So to do that, all you need to do is go to the app marketplace. You can just search for whatever video calling platform that you're using. So in this instance, Zoom. The final thing I wanted to highlight is just an interesting feature in HubSpot you're probably not aware of. So within HubSpot, if you go into your account section and you go down to product updates, there's a list of product updates that HubSpot's bringing. Now, the thing about HubSpot is it's a big beast, as we're all aware. There's always a lot of updates coming through. And with that, this is where you can see what new updates and what new features have come into HubSpot. Probably the more interesting thing about that is you can see the things that are in beta. And you can actually sign up for them early and join and request to join. Now, what that can do is if you're on the right subscription level, this can give you access to new features. And I wanted to highlight 2 new features that have come in, one in beta and one that's just popped in. So there's actually a new sales workforce that HubSpot's just released. Now, this is going to be very similar to the lead workspace. So if you can see up the top here, there's 2 new workspaces. We've got a prospecting and we've got a help desk. Now, these are designed for people with paid sales seats. So you need a paid sales pro seat or a paid service pro. Now, these will come in and they're about to launch another sales pro, a sales workspace. So again, these are areas that you can work in, and all you need to do to be able to get access to these is to go into the product updates and you'll be able to view. Now, like I said, a lot of the time you can see the ones that are live and recent that have just come out. It's nothing groundbreaking, and you can see here, you know, they've given a release impact low. Release impact medium, release impact high basically means, you know, how big of a new update is it to the system? Is it going to be something completely new that might be like Commerce Hub, or is it something that, you know, might be just a little small change to the platform? Now, one of the recent and probably most, one of the most recent, most obvious updates they've had, that's more designed for like user experience, is designed around just basically a quick create tab. So it's nothing game changing, but it is a new feature. So what this will allow you to do, previously, if you wanted to create a contact, company or deal or ticket, or, you know, any of the key objects, you'd have to go into contacts, deals, and then create. So user experience wise, they've designed this now so you can come in quickly and easily, click deal or click anything and add, you know, that property or add that object straight from, you know, wherever you are in the system. All right, so I think I've gone a little bit over, so I thought I'd leave some time for questions. I can talk a bit more about, I was going to talk about Commerce Hub, but I might leave that for another day. But are there any questions? And, you know, this is the time we can talk about specific issues as well that anyone would like to go over.
Matt, one of the things that we're finding is we've still got, you've got your email, you've got your Xero, you've got, and I'm bouncing between, it's very complicated, you know, and I guess we do need to have our pipelines reviewed and simplified, and it's all got very hard work. But one of the things that we've sort of been waiting for is so that we can do quoting and also people can pay through HubSpot. Is that live yet?
Yeah, that's definitely live. So HubSpot now has integrated Commerce Hub, which is a free hub that comes with any subscription. So number one, with that, you've got the ability, if you're on Sales Pro, to use customized quotes that you can create. So number one, if you want to send out quotes through HubSpot, you can fully customize those quotes. What I mean by that is you can make them look as pretty as you like. So you can have, you know, a cover page, an about us section, and then we can modify it because we can use like code. We can code to make it look whatever, you know, do however you want it. You can then send those links out. It integrates with Stripe. So payments taken from Stripe at this stage. And then from there, what it does, you know, you can send invoices and it'll integrate straight with Xero. And I think QuickBooks as well. So within this, what we've got is we've got Commerce Hub. And as you can see here, I go to invoices. These are all integrated with Xero. So these are integrated directly with Xero. See all the invoices that we've got open at the moment. I can see all the invoices that are paid. I can see all the invoices that are voided. But what you can do, you can go through and create quotes. And, you know, you would have seen it. We don't actually use the HubSpot quoting tool just because we're on a different platform that allowed us to take direct debits for monthly recurring. But within the quoting tool, if we go into even deals, it is very easy to use. And we can just, you know, click in. Slow. Go add quotes. And what this will do is it'll grab the information that's already existed. So these are default templates. Like we would use, you know, something a bit more advanced where you can see here, like we've created a contract. We've got different agreements within here, but you can also create a range of different like templates and you can customize this however you want. So you come to this page, it's literally select, next, buyer info is all grabbed out, your info is grabbed out, and then you add in your line items. So you select from product library, and, you have them all uploaded beforehand. Go next. You can take e-signature. Next, you can take payment if you've integrated Stripe, and then that will integrate directly with Xero and create the invoice as well. So that invoice will then appear in the deal, and you'll be able to see when it's paid. So obviously you need to reconcile it on the Xero side, but overall, it's a pretty solid integration. There's obviously limitations on what you can do with some things and what you can't do. But for the most part, that Stripe that whole commerce hub is a pretty good step forward for HubSpot. Does that sort of answer your question, Tree?
Yeah, we just were having trouble getting it to accept payments and all that. So maybe there's something to do with the integration.
Yeah, maybe it's pretty straightforward because you can create payment links.
Yeah, no. Okay, we'll give it another go.
Yeah. Once you've got it set up and you've got payment links, very similar to Stripe. I copy my link. It could be something because it does integrate with what you've got with Stripe. So if there's any issues there with that, there could be some issues, but I haven't really heard of too many problems with it. You did mention before that you're having issues with jumping between different platforms, like jumping between the email and back to HubSpot. What's the issues with that?
I think we just need to simplify. All our HubSpot is just gotten to the point where it's just everything's manual, everything's moving, everything's time consuming. And so it's like triple handling everywhere we go. So yeah, it's become a bit of a weight around our neck.
So because I remember that you were using group emails. Is that still the case?
Yeah, and a lot of those are somehow they're not activated to the right teams, and yeah, we were just struggling with getting the teams to work well. So there's been a few things where we probably just need to rip it apart and reset it up.
Yeah. So there's a few things with HubSpot. Number one, my favorite HubSpot feature is probably this little fella here, this help desk. So if you're ever unsure of something, like I said, please join that collective group. You can ask us questions in there, but you've got the support. Oops. So if you do that, then it gives you the option for contact us, and you can chat to the team. If you're having an issue with not having the team set up correctly, you can jump on here and ask these guys a question, and they will help you. You can't always get through to them. They may be busy and they may go send an email. The email response will take 24 hours. You go back and forth. I'd usually wait until it opens back up. Just check again in an hour. They will be very helpful with what you need. So that's just something to be aware of. That if you're having issues with that with emails, then that's fine. In terms of managing it, I generally use it. So my Gmail is where I email from, and HubSpot's where I manage, everything else. So I jump between the two. But the great thing is, as we jump into HubSpot, HubSpot is completely connected to my Gmail and to any email provider. So I can open this up, I can see deals, I can add tasks. If I go to create an email, I've got the HubSpot extension, I can access all my templates, I can access everything from HubSpot. So it's all completely integrated. So, it's just something to be aware to make sure you've got all that set up correctly and that, you're confident with the way you use it. I know it can be a bit more complicated for you because you do have those group emails. And so you're probably manning some emails from the inbox, which can maybe get things confusing. This is where you're probably manning some stuff from. So there's probably maybe that confusion by jumping between the two. But yeah, if there's issues with connectivity and things like that, then we can always have a chat. Is there any other questions just about that, Trudy, or is that all right?
Yeah, it's all right.
That was the least convincing answer I've ever heard.
Oh, it's,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
all right. Yeah, I hate HubSpot.
no, it's just
You can
gotten a
hate
little
HubSpot,
complicated.
Trudy, but we all love you, so it's all right.
It's just gotten a little complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah, just think we need to strip it back and simplify everything we do.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's simple is always best when it comes to these systems because, you know, like you can see, there are so many features within here that it can be overwhelming. I always say, like I said at the start, like start with making sure your contacts can be segmented and making sure your deal pipeline's clean. If you get that right, everything else will follow. Do we have any other questions from anyone?
Yep, Sarah's got a question there, Matt.
I think Sarah's had a hand up since the start. I'm not too sure, to be honest. Maybe not. Anyone else got any questions or? Yeah.
I got a bit of a question, Matt. It's that extension that you've got in Gmail, which is sensational with all the templates and everything. Sometimes that suddenly is gone, like, and we have to sort of reinstall it in Gmail. Why is that?
Sometimes maybe not. Like the reinstall one's a bit strange. I've never had to reinstall it. I sometimes might have to reconnect it because quite often sometimes HubSpot doesn't update, and so like it logs me out, and so I might need to like come in and reconnect it. But are you saying like you need to completely reinstall this? So like it's not even.
No, it just that reconnect feature. It just
Oh, yeah.
sometimes you'll go into Gmail and suddenly all that HubSpot feature is not there, and I'm like, hey, where did that thing go? Is that common?
It is common that it might log you out. Like I said, when HubSpot does updates to the extension, it'll log you out. So you have to log back in, and then like sometimes it can randomly log you out. But like, how often are you talking?
Not often, but it's just sometimes like you've turned your laptop off overnight or something. You come back in the next day and you're like, hey, where's all that HubSpot functionality? And you got to go to the extension. Just if it's common and happens, then I'm not going to cry. But if it's, I thought it was something on my end that I was effing up.
Yeah, I would just suggest it's probably to do with HubSpot updates. But if it is happening more like often, then it might be something that could be a system issue, and we might need to like have a look at it. But yeah, I would suggest generally like when it does log you out, it's to do with an update. But if it's something that is happening a bit more, it might be something maybe just next time it happens, maybe let us know and we can we can jump on the help desk and ask HubSpot about it as well. Because like I was just saying before, the help desk, when you jump in, I'll just share my screen again. If you're having any sort of technical issue like that, generally the first thing they'll ask you is for a screenshot or a recording so they can have a look at it, and then they can confirm if there's an outage. And in the end, it is it's only happened a few times, so that's cool. All right, any other issues or questions or features that people are interested in? No? All good. All right, well, if there's no other points, I think we'll wrap it there, guys. Thanks so much for the first one. Like I said, come along, we'll do a new topic each time. Feel free to ask questions. Feel free to send things through. If there is features that you want to know more about, this is the time to ask. This is the time to let us know, and we can always show you, what how it is and what can be done with it. Because obviously, there's a lot of stuff in here to look at. Yeah, thanks, mate. All right, guys. I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their Friday, and look forward to chatting to you all soon. Awesome. Thanks, Natasha. We'll chat next week.
Bye. Have a nice
you,
weekend.
guys.
Guys.